I'm Jordan Raynor, and this is the Word Before Work.
Today we're reading from Proverbs 20:25. Here's what that passage says. It is a trap to dedicate something rashly and only later to consider one's vows. Again, that's Solomon speaking in Proverbs 20, verse 25. How many times have you and I fallen into the quote-unquote trap that this proverb is warning us against? I feel like I've fallen into this more times than I care to admit. I've said yes to projects at work only to later renegotiate the deadline that I could have never hit. I've agreed to volunteer at church only to grumble and complain about that commitment on Sunday morning. Does that sound familiar to you? I think we all struggle with the trap that Solomon is talking about here, and you and I need practical ways to avoid this trap of saying yes too quickly and too flippantly. Here are 4 practices that typically work for me to that end. Number 1, delay every yes by at least 24 hours. It is really hard to say no if you feel pressured to give an answer to a request for your time the moment you're asked. So the next time you're asked to dedicate your time to something, do whatever you can to delay responding for at least a day. Buy yourself some time by saying, hey, let me sleep on it, or let me check with my spouse, or let me check my calendar and current commitments and get back to you. Number 2, assume that the commitment will take 50% more time than you expect. It is human nature to underestimate how much time a new commitment's going to take, both in hours spent on the core task and in what Cal Newport calls the overhead tax of saying yes. Unexpectedly long email threads related to the commitment, meetings associated with the project, etc. So before you agree to take something new on, assume the commitment will take at least 50% longer than you estimate. Number 3, seek out godly counsel before saying yes to something that exceeds a certain time threshold. If I'm considering dedicating more than 25 hours to something, you better believe I'm going to ask some Christian friends for wisdom before I say yes. Why? Because according to Proverbs 12:15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. Finally, number 4, remember that saying no is oftentimes the most loving thing you can do. Contrary to our caricature of Jesus as a nice guy who always said yes, sometimes Jesus said no out of love. See Mark 1:35-38. We must do the same, because when you dedicate something rashly and only later consider what you signed up for, you're not going to be able to give your yes your all, which means you're likely to do harm to yourself and, more importantly, to those you promised to serve. Whatever decision you're facing today, ask the Lord for his grace in helping you avoid the trap of saying yes too quickly. Today's devotional only scratches the surface of how God's word connects to our work. If you want to go deeper, sign up for my free 20-day devotional called The Word Before Work Foundations at twbwfoundations.com. These email devotionals are designed to help you gain a rich understanding of the biblical narrative of work, how exactly your work matters for eternity, and what those truths mean for how we ought to work today. You can sign up right now, again, for free at twbwfoundations.com.